sharing my. Okay. So here I'll show you some of the requirements. For example, I'll just take it to this is inspection staff. Here we have health chapter. When you talk about specific requirements, here you could see the dry bulb and wet bulb temperatures. I mean, this is the temperature you should maintain in the factory premises. So even for the lighting also they're talking about it should not less than 65 lux. Okay, some from the floor area 7.6 meters. Yeah, quantity of drinking water. There they have in the act they mentioned only the sufficient wholesome drinking water. There they now they have not mentioned how much. So in the rules you will clearly see that a 5 liters per worker. Okay. Even there are cooling water also. In every factory where more than 250 workers are ordinarily employed, a drinking water supplied to the workers shall be during hot weathers be cooled by ice or any mechanical refrigeration, provided that if ice is placed in the drinking water, the ice shall be clean and wholesome. बर्फ नहीं देना चाहिए, खाली ठंडा पानी देना चाहिए. Yeah. If you see letins and accommodations, in the case of letins of flush out system, one letin for every 25 or lesser numbers, where the number of workers does not exceed 100, and 4 for first 100 and 1 for every 50. Okay, it is for the letrins. It is a flush type. In calculating number of seats required under this rule, any odd number of workers less than 25, 50 or 20 specified clauses 1 and 2 as 25, 50 or 20 respectively in the case of any only the maximum number of persons working in the factory at a time and not total number of persons employed in the factory. So here we need to consider the not total numbers. For example, in general shift, how many people will be there? And first shift and general shift, how many people will be there? And general and second shift together, how many people will be there? Night shift. So based on that provision, you have to take the maximum number of people working in the premises, not on the total number. Because if we take first and second and general, altogether the number of people will be more. And here we need workers for the both male and female. You should have a separate provision. Okay, that is how here you will get the a detailed requirement. Okay, fine. Let me share again. I think in first class I forgot the name. Somebody is asking, okay, females are working. Why it is not the requirement? Yes, definitely it is a requirement. Females are working, but considering that they have a long hair and also they have the jewelries which are some of the females they are very have sentiment to that. So considering that issues, the females and young persons also are not allowed to work while machinery in motion. Okay. Okay, it's clearly mentioned no woman or young person shall be allowed to clean or lubricate or any adjust any part of a prime mover or any transmission machinery while the prime movers or transmission machinery in motion, or to clean, lubricate, or adjust any part of any machine if the cleaning, lubrication, adjustment thereof would expose the woman or young person to the risk of injury from any moving part, either of the machine or either of any adjacent machinery. Okay, young persons may be keeping in mind that they can't able to take any decisions or considering their knowledge and also learning ability and capacity, and women will be also because of their dressing or their loose hair, etc. Then employment of young persons on dangerous missions. So no person or no young person shall be required or allowed to work at any mission to which this section applies unless he has fully instructed as to the dangers arising in connection with the mission and precautions to be observed. So he has to receive sufficient training in the work on the missions, and also he is under adequate supervision by a person who has a thorough knowledge and experience on the mission. One is without training, we should not allow any young persons on the dangerous missions, and also he should have sufficient training as well as continuous supervision. When you say adequate supervision while operating such equipment. The next one, striking gear and devices of cutting of power. It is nothing but simply a switches or pulleys or any power control systems. A suitable striking gear or other sufficient mechanical appliances shall be provided and maintained and used to move driving belts to or from the fast and losing pulleys which form a part of transmission machinery, and such gear and appliances shall be constructed, placed, and also maintained as to prevent the belt from creeping back to the past pulleys. So these are the changing of the belts from one drive to other drives. And driving belts, when not in use, shall not be allowed to rest or ride upon shafting in motion. So when the specific belts are not in motion, it should not be allowed to rest or ride upon shafting in motion. It should not be allowed to go other motions or other running belts. In every factory, suitable devices for cutting off power in emergencies from running machinery shall be provided and maintained in every workroom. So emergency cut off the supply, that also need to be provided for every machinery. And also when the devices which are inadvertently shift from off to on positions is provided in a factory to cut off power, arrangement shall be provided for locking the device in safe position to prevent accidental starting of the transmission machinery or other machines to which the device is fitted. To keep it simple, they are asking us to have lotto provision. If somebody asks, okay, lotto to be followed, so there is a requirement. You can refer this rule number, uh, section number 5 or 24 in the Factories Act, striking gear. Then self-acting machines. So no transferring part of self-acting machine in any factory or no material carried thereon shall, if the space over which it runs in a space over which any person is liable to pass. Sometimes what will happen, the machines will have self-acting like robots, whether the course of this employment otherwise be allowed to run on its outward or inward transverse within a within a distance of 45 centimeters from any fixed structure which is not a part of a machine. So you should have minimum of 45 centimeters distance where it will have the movement of the persons, provided that the chief inspector may permit the continued use of any machine installed before the commencement of this act which does not comply the requirement of this section, such conditions for ensuring safety as he may think to fit. So maybe some of the factories which are there before 1948, those can be taken operation or permission from the inspector of factories. Then casing of new machineries. So in all machineries driven by power and installed in any factory after the commencement of this act, which means after 1948, whatever the installations or machines which are installed which run by the power, every set screw, bolt or any key of any revolving shaft, spindle, wheel or pinion shall be sunk or encased or otherwise effectively guarded as to prevent the danger. In the sense, it is also making provision or protecting the rotating part to prevent the danger. When it's a danger, it is in rotation, it is in movement. Definitely, it is a danger to the people who come closer. In a spur or worm and other tooth or friction generating which does not require a frequent adjustment while in motion shall be completely encased unless it is situated as to be as safe as it would be fit were completely encased. So sometimes position or situation in such a way that it will not give any effect. Then next one, prohibition of employment of women and children button openers. So this is also one requirement. No woman or child shall be employed in any part of the factory for pressing cotton in which a cotton opener is at work. So provided that if it is a feed end of the cotton opener is in a room separated from the delivery end by partition extending to the roof or to such height as the inspector may be in particular case of specifying in writing women and children may be employed on the side of the partition where the feed end is situated. Okay, so we have to take special provisions if the having a separated from the delivery and feed end. I have a partition of this carton opener machines. There we can take a special approval from the inspector saying that all the hazards have been addressed. There they can work from the feed end side. Then we have section 28 where we used to come across with this calibration or third party or competent person inspection, etc. So in every factory, we'll have hoist and lift shall be of good mechanical construction, sound materials and adequate strength. So the properly maintained shall be maintained and also shall be thoroughly examined by the competent person at least once in every period of 6 months. And also the register shall be kept to maintain the prescribed particulars of every such inspection. So here we have the certificates and also you'll have unique numbers for each hoist and lifts. Or every hoist way and lift way shall be sufficient protected by an enclosure fitted with gates and also the hoist or lift and every such enclosure shall be constructed as to prevent any person or thing from being trapped between any part of the hoist or lift. So we have to provide in such a way that no material or any object it should not stuck in between. And also the maximum safe working load shall be plainly marked on every hoist or lift, and no load greater than such load shall be carried on. So you have to mention the what is the maximum working load or SWL. and more than that, it should not be overloaded. Then the cage of every hoist or lift used for carrying persons shall be fitted with a gate on each side from which access is afforded to be landing, and every gate referred to the clause number B or clause number D shall be fitted with a interlocking or other efficient device to secure that the gate cannot be opened except when the cage is at landing, and that the cage cannot be moved unless the gate is closed. It is nothing but general basic interlocking system, as we know. Until unless if you are not closing the door, the lift will not move. In the same case, whenever the lift is in running position, so you can't able to open the doors. So such a interlock it has to be provided. Okay. Then lifting machines, chains, ropes, and lifting tackles. These are the other equipments or tools which we use to lift the materials or to apply over the material for lifting. In any factory, the following provision shall be compared with respect to every lifting machine other than hoist and lift, the every chain, rope, or lifting tackle for the purpose of rising or lowering persons, goods, or material. So all parts including a working gear, whether fixed or mobile, of every lifting machine and every chain, rope, or lifting tackles. They should be in a good construction, sound material, and adequate strength, and free from defects. For example, here you will get the eye bolts, chain slings, wire rope slings, web slings, endless slings, which is like in a rope kind of. So they should be having a good construction and also sound material, and properly maintained and thoroughly examined by competent person at least once in a period of 12 months. The hoist and lift you do once in 6 months, and this lifting tackles you do once in 12 months. No lifting machine and no claim rope or lifting tackle shall expect for the purpose of test by loaded beyond the safe working load. So you should not load the equipment beyond the working capacity. And also, which shall be plainly marked thereon together with an identification mark or duly entered in the prescribed registers. Okay, they should have identification. Wherever it is identification not possible, we can have a tag system, or we can also do the engraving on the specific tool with respect to the capacity of that specific tool. Okay. And also, and where this is not practicable, a table of showing safe working loads of every kind and size of the lifting machine or chain, rope, or lifting tackles in use shall be displayed in permanent positions on premises. If it is not possible to do that, we can display a specific board with the capacities. While any person is employed or working on or near the wheel of track or traveling crane in any place where he should be liable to struck by the crane, or effective measures shall be taken to ensure that the crane does not approach within 6 meters of the that place. Wherever you have an employee movement within the 6 meters, in case of any movement, it should not be allowed to run. When you talk about the examples, the lifting machines means like crane, crab, any which, tangle, pulley blocks, transporter, etc. Tackles will be, you will have chains, slings, hooks, or shackles, etc. Then we have revolving machinery. So this is also one of the requirement in every factory which the process of grinding is carried out on. There shall be permanently affixed to or placed near the each machine in use a notice indicating that the maximum safe working peripheral speed of every grinding stone or abrasive wheel, the speed of the shaft or spindle upon which the wheel is mounted, and the diameter of the pulley upon such shaft or a spindle necessary to secure such safe working peripheral speeds. The speed indicated in the notices under subsection 1 shall not be exceeded. An effective measure shall be taken in every factory to ensure that the safe working peripheral speed of every revolving vessel, cage, basket, flywheel, pulley, disc, or similar appliances driven by power is not exceeded. It is simply talking about the revolving machineries. You see a bench grinder where you'll have two different wheels. So it should not be operated over the prescribed the speed limits. Even you have centrifuges, that is also a revolving machinery. Flywheels or pulleys, they should not exceed their design intent or design speed. Then pressure plant. So if in any factory, any plant or machinery or any part of thereof is operated at a pressure above the atmospheric pressure. When it's atmospheric pressure, we'll say ATM 1 centimeter, say centimeter square, 1 kg per centimeter square, which is effective measure shall be taken to ensure the safe working pressure of such plants or machineries should not be exceeded. Simply here we can take an example of air compressors where they used to work over the atmospheric pressures where it will go to the examinations. Even the state government may take rules providing for examinations and testing of plants, machinery as such referred to the subsection 1. All these pressure plants they have to undergo for the calibration by the competent persons. This also we do once in 12 months or once in a year. Then 32 floors, stairs, and means of access. So these are nothing but the provisions or steps or staircases or passageways or gangways which are designed for people movement. So all these floors, steps, stairs, and passages, gangways shall be of sound construction, properly maintained, and shall be kept free from obstructions and also substances likely to cause persons to slip. In the sense, any substance, either water or oil, whatever it is, which can cause a slippery, it has to be avoided. Where it is necessary to ensure safety, steps and also stairs, passages, and gangways shall be provided with suitable handrails. So here we have to provide the handrails for this stairs, and they shall be so far as reasonably practicable be provided and also maintained safe means of access to every place at which any person is at any time required to work. Okay, it is reasonably practical to provide and maintain safe anytime any person can go and perform the activity. When any person has to work at a height from where he is likely to fall, a provision shall be made so far as is reasonably practicable by fencing or otherwise to ensure safety of the person who is working. If it is at elevated levels, you have to provide such a provision to protect the person from falls. Then section 33, pits and sums and openings in floors. Heroes will have in every factory fixed vessels, sums, tanks, or pits or openings in the ground or in the floor, which by reasons of its depth, situation, or construction, or contents in is or may be a source of danger, shall be either securely covered or securely fenced. It is nothing but confined spaces, pits and sums or floor openings, or any gutters or any drainage tanks or drainage the path If it is open for any cleaning, it has to be barricaded or covered with any fencing. In other case, it should be always in a closed position. Then excessive weights. So when we talk about excessive weights, here also it will vary from state to state. In AP, adult male can up to lift 55 kilos and female up to 35 kilos. So no person shall be employed in any factory to lift, carry or move any load so heavy as likely to cause him injury. A state government make the rules. Okay, that we'll see next time. Then protection of eyes. So here also, with respect to the manufacturing process, which are carrying out in a factory, as may be prescribed being process which involves risk of injury to eyes from particles or fragments thrown off in the course of process, like grinding, welding, buffing, gouging activity, any activity which can cause a throwing of the fragments. The risk of eyes by reason of exposure to excessive light, like welding, even foundry activity. A suitable goggle shall be provided for the protection of persons employed on or in the immediate vicinity of the process. So there, the employer has to provide the suitable goggles where there is a chance of this throwing out of the fragments or the dust particles or any piece of waste which is projecting or throwing out of the surface. Okay, there we have to provide the suitable goggles to protect the person or the people who are working on it. Then we have another provision, precautions against the dangerous fumes or gases. No person shall be carried out. One second. Can we use PSV pressure? Lakshmi Das ji, can you elaborate PSV? What exactly it is? So precautions against the dangerous fumes and gases. So dangerous fumes which are again generated in the process or in due course of action. No person shall be carried or allowed to enter any chamber, tank, vat, pit or pipe, flue or other combined space in any factory in which any gas, fume, vapor or dust is likely to be present to such an extent as to involve risk to persons being overcome thereby unless it is provided with a manhole of adequate size or other effective means of egress. So somewhat you could see the confined space requirement here. And talk about chamber, and talk about tanks or pits or pipes. These are nothing but confined spaces. So you should not enter inside unless with a manhole of adequate size which is provided and also effective means of egress to come out from the such piece of equipment. And no person shall be required or allowed to enter any confined space as is referred to subsection 1 until all practicable measures have been taken to remove any gas, fumes or vapor or dust which may be present so as to bring its level within the permissible limits and to prevent any egress of such gases, fumes, vapor or dust and unless it is certificate in writing. There we should not allow anybody in the confined space. Okay, one second, please. Yes, Lakshmidas.
Sir,
Initially, I kept people are
yes, sir. So
joining.
you want to
Yeah,
mention
yeah.
the working pressure. Working pressure. If the working pressure is increased due to malfunction, that time we can use the pressure relief wall or pressure safety wall.
No, I mean it is malfunction itself. Definitely, when it is increasing, when it's say, I mean, definitely yes. You have a set pressure. Whenever it is reaches the above the set pressure, definitely we can use the pressure relieving devices or pressure relieving valves. Yes,
Yes.
we can use. Okay. So as I said, the confined spaces we should not allow until unless you're keeping or bringing the space into an acceptable level or reducing the concentrations which are in the confined space come to a normal level. You should not allow the people to enter. Okay, that too you have to maintain the records. Like we do gas test, it has to be recorded. ऐसे नहीं कि okay कर दिया. Okay, I'm stopping